If you are over 40 and you have been eating salads, cutting calories, and doing everything right, yet the weight is still not moving, this video is going to change everything you think you know about food and your body. What you were told in your 20s no longer applies, and nobody in your doctor's office is telling you why. After 40, a woman's body enters a completely different metabolic phase. Estrogen begins to decline, cortisol becomes far more reactive, and insulin sensitivity drops significantly. The foods that kept you lean at 30 are now triggering fat storage at 42. This is not a willpower problem. This is biology, and it is entirely possible to work with it. In the next 10 minutes, you are going to discover exactly which foods are silently working against your hormones after 40, what the research actually shows about eating timing and metabolism, and the specific changes that allow women in their 40s and 50s to finally feel and look their absolute best. Stay with me, because the insight at point 11 is the one most women completely miss. Here is what is actually happening inside your body. When estrogen drops, your cells become less efficient at using glucose as fuel. Your body starts to store more fat around the abdomen, not because you are eating too much, but because your cells are confused about what to do with energy. And the standard low-calorie advice makes this significantly worse, not better. Cortisol, your stress hormone, becomes dramatically more impactful after 40. When you skip meals, eat too few calories, or follow intense restriction diets, cortisol spikes, and elevated cortisol tells your body to hold on to belly fat as an emergency energy reserve. The harder you restrict, the more your body resists. This is the cycle so many women find themselves trapped in. The first category of foods that must go after 40 is ultra-processed carbohydrates. Not all carbohydrates, just the refined ones. White bread, sugary breakfast cereals, low-fat flavored yogurts, and most packaged snack bars spike insulin rapidly. When your insulin sensitivity is already compromised, these foods send your blood sugar on a roller coaster that ends in fat storage and energy crashes. The second food group to reconsider is industrial seed oils, sunflower oil, corn oil, soybean oil, and most generic vegetable oils. These are high in omega-6 fatty acids that promote systemic inflammation. After 40, inflammation is one of the key drivers of weight resistance, joint pain, and fatigue. Many women switch to these oils thinking they are making a healthy choice, but the science tells a very different story. Now here is where things get genuinely exciting. The research on women over 40 and nutrition has produced some remarkable findings in the last 5 years. What works is not deprivation. It is strategic nourishment. And the women who understand this do not just maintain their weight. They transform how they feel in ways that go far beyond the number on the scale. Protein becomes your most important macronutrient after 40. Research shows that women over 40 need approximately 30 grams of protein per meal to properly trigger muscle protein synthesis. Why does this matter? Because muscle is metabolically active tissue. More muscle means a faster resting metabolism. And after 40, muscle loss accelerates unless you actively eat enough protein to prevent it. Here is one of the most counterintuitive findings in women's metabolic research, and this insight has the power to change everything. Eating more at breakfast and less at dinner produces dramatically better outcomes for women over 40 than the reverse. A 2023 study found that women who ate their largest meal before noon lost 3 times more abdominal fat over 12 weeks than those who ate the same calories later in the day. When you eat matters as much as what you eat after 40. Your insulin sensitivity is highest in the morning and lowest at night. A large carbohydrate-heavy dinner, eaten after 7 p.m., triggers a much larger insulin response than the identical meal eaten at noon. This means your body is far more likely to store those evening calories as fat, regardless of your total daily intake. Front-loading your food is not a diet. It is a biological advantage. Omega-3 fatty acids become critical after 40 because they directly support hormonal balance and reduce the inflammation that drives weight resistance. Wild salmon, mackerel, sardines, walnuts, and flaxseed are your highest value foods in this category. Aim for at least 2 servings of oily fish per week. If you do not eat fish, a high-quality algae-based omega-3 supplement achieves the same result. Fiber becomes a non-negotiable for women over 40, and most women are eating far too little of it. Aim for 35 grams of fiber per day from vegetables, legumes, fruit, and whole grains. Fiber feeds your gut microbiome, which directly influences your estrogen metabolism. An unhealthy gut microbiome is now linked to estrogen imbalance, weight gain, and mood dysregulation in perimenopausal women. Your gut is your hormonal engine. The gut-hormone connection is one of the most exciting areas of women's health research. Specific probiotic strains, particularly Lactobacillus and Bifidobacterium species, have been shown to improve insulin sensitivity and support healthy estrogen clearance in women over 40. Fermented foods such as kefir, kimchi, sauerkraut, and natural yogurt are your most practical way to feed these beneficial bacteria every single day. Nutrition and movement work together in a way that is especially powerful after 40. Strength training 2 to 3 times per week creates something called an insulin sensitizing effect that lasts for up to 48 hours. This means that the meals you eat after a strength session are handled by your body far more efficiently. You do not need hours in a gym. 20 minutes of resistance work 3 times a week is clinically significant. If intermittent fasting appeals to you, a 12 to 8 eating window can be beneficial for women over 40. However, the research is very clear that skipping breakfast to fast until noon is counterproductive for most women. It elevates morning cortisol and misses your peak insulin sensitivity window. If you want to fast, a 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. window keeps your largest meals during your body's most metabolically receptive hours. Sleep is the most underrated nutrition tool for women over 40. Poor sleep raises ghrelin, your hunger hormone, while suppressing leptin, your satiety hormone. After a bad night's sleep, your body chemically drives you toward high-calorie foods. 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep is not a luxury. It is a metabolic requirement. If you are sleeping poorly, no dietary change will fully compensate for what you are losing overnight. The women who thrive after 40 are not following the most extreme protocols. They are the ones who understand their biology and make consistently intelligent choices. High protein at every meal, eating most food before 3 p.m., prioritizing omega-3s, fiber, and fermented foods, strength training regularly, sleeping well. These are not restrictions. They are the foundation of your strongest decade yet. To bring everything together, after 40, your metabolism is not broken. It is simply different. You need more protein, earlier meals, anti-inflammatory fats, fiber for your gut microbiome, and movement that builds strength. Remove ultra-processed carbs and seed oils. Prioritize sleep above all else. Your body is not working against you. Once you understand how it works, it will work beautifully and powerfully for you. If this video gave you something genuinely useful, please subscribe to Health and Fitness with Ella. Every week we share science-backed tips for living your healthiest, strongest life. There is an entire community of women here who are choosing to understand their bodies rather than fight them, and every single week we grow stronger together. Click subscribe and we will see you in the next video.